Hey everyone, UC here from iTradePrice. First of all, a very happy and prosperous New Year's to everyone. Hope this new year brings good health and happiness in your and your family's life. All right, let us review the charts now. 2022 is history, so just for fun, let's take a look at the monthly view of QQQ. Right, we have still monthly perspective. I mean, the momentum and the pressure remains to the downside. Yes, we do have month here and there where we saw some bounces and stuff like that, but nothing meaningful that would have taken it over and above its previous like the monthly resistances, right? So this was support. It got rejected here. We got breakdown. We tried to rally, kind of got rejected. So this trend line is acting as it's effectively acting as a resistance level. So now pressure on a monthly level remains 300 and below, keeps it under pressure. Above that, we will have a breakout above this downtrend line, and so on and so forth. So unless that happens, swing longs might not work. Okay, weekly view, right? So on a weekly view, still, right, in the past few weeks in a downtrend, still price action wise, lower lows, lower highs. For a long time between November and December, we kind of moved sideways, attempted to move above this downtrend line, couldn't do it, have a long top wick, right? And now remaining above below 274.8, 275, keeps it under pressure. We have this sort of a bear flag pattern, right? The market did break down below that, but it's just kind of, if you look at the monthly view, it kind of bounced from the previous month's bottom, right? So now we'll see if it wants to give a follow through in the coming days or not, but this is how it looks like on a daily view, right? So this is the structure that it's kind of trading in, right? This was the breakout candle, and then since then we've just been on the sideways and all that stuff. But if you look at, say, a 2-hourly view, right, I would say if we can get above 268, 269, right, this area right here, this could be a inverse head and shoulder in a lower time frame, with this line being a neckline, right? So if it can get above that, we can get some rally towards the high of this candle. Then we have a gap fill, and then the structure resistance here on 275, and over and above that, the chart becomes sort of bullish and attempting a reversal. But unless or until that happens, things look weak, and we just have to be kind of cautious playing the long side, right? This last hourly bullish bar could just be sort of short covering towards the end of the last week, but nothing meaningful. So we'll see how it goes. But again, 268.5, 269 and above, we can target 275. Remain below that, it remains weak, and then 258.9 is sort of the level. That's the lower end target if it wants to move below the Friday low. Okay. Let's take a look at SPY. Let's go into a monthly view here as well. Still in a downtrend, right? From the monthly perspective, we got a nice bounce from this sort of a value area. We got 2 monthly green bars, but this last monthly December bar was a bearish bar that closed towards the bottom end of the previous month. So that tells us that still market is weak and remains under pressure, unless or until those kind of things change in a higher time frame. You just have to be cautious playing any longs, right? So right now, 387.6, 388 is the level where it kind of broke down from, and we have these 2 sort of weak looking bars, right? I mean, it's just a doji bars, right, in itself, and that means since the past 3 weeks we have just been closing in right here, right? So, and if you drill down to a daily view, it will give you a better view. You can see it's just been choppy, right? With nothing on the upside over and above 384, right? That's sort of the recent highs, right? Above that, yeah, we have a structure support resistance at 387.6. That's where the recent high, swing high is. So that becomes the target on the upside. So just kind of look at this triangle that's it's been kind of trading in, right? I mean, if I bring in, let's say, a 4-hourly bar, and let me show an extension, things like that. Here you go. You can see this is the downtrend line, this is the uptrend line. So over and above that, target becomes initially 387.6. Then we can continue for or monitor to see if it wants to continue higher or if it gets rejected. And on the downside, if it remains below 380, and then we can see if it wants to break down below this slightly uptrend, uptrending structure. If it gives up that, then 373.8 definitely looks like a first downside target, right? So yeah, we're not totally out of the woods yet. I'd say, definitely just chart remains weak here for SPY. SPX, pretty similar look and feel, right? Just like SPY, we got this ascending wedge right into the downtrend line, got a rejection from there, and now if you see, where it rallied from, we had all this 3 weeks worth of support, right? Touchdowns and bounces, and it's kind of trying to pause right there, but that's fine, but it's not giving any bounce. So if it wants to bounce, we have to see it get above 3889 or 3900 if you want to just round it off. If unless or until that happens, again, chart remains under pressure. This is a weekly view. Daily view looks similar, weak, no bullish bar, seeing any upside follow through, right? This was a bullish bar, no upside follow through, bullish bar, no upside follow through, couple of bullish bars, but again within range. Within this last daily bar was a sort of an inside bar, not totally, but kind of like that. It just went down a little bit, but then kind of went back up. So sideways, choppy, 3890 and below keeps it weak. Target remains 3740 on the downside. If it breaks down below that, then definitely watch out towards 3650. Over and above 3890, we can target towards 3956, and then if it really wants to rally 4,000, where the downtrend line meets the price. Okay, let's take a look at Amazon. Monthly view, very bearish, right? But that does not mean that the next bar cannot be a bullish bar, right? But you don't have to try to pick the bottom, right? Unless the way to pick the bottom could be on a monthly level here, that you wait for it to go back down, and then where the weekly bar goes from red to green, you take a position there with the low of that bar as your stop loss, right? So that can be a play, right? Because let's say, for example, we were here, right? Like this. So this bar, right, when it opened up, right, it opened up right here, it went down all the way, and then it went back up to close green with a hammered looking bar, right? So that means if you had taken a position when the bar was turning back, green from red, with this being your stop loss, right, it would have been golden, right? So that's the same concept we're trying to apply over here as well, with this being a green box zone as well, that let it go down, and if you want to swing, let it come back up, and where the weekly bar turns red to green, that's where you take a position, and with that weekly bar as low as your stop loss, right? So unless or until that happens, remains weak. We are trading in a green box zone right now, right? We did kind of bounce from there, nothing too exciting or meaningful, but this whole area is a sort of a green box from 81 all the way till 76. So don't expect it to just rally back up and bounce hard, but it usually kind of consolidates, and that's why I always tell, if you are playing options with green boxes, try to go at least 3 to 4 months out and try to remain at least close to the money or in the money, so that you can have delta moving in your favor nicely. Okay, but from chart perspective, anything below 88, it remains under pressure, because that's where the bounces occurred, historically speaking, right? So that means this was an effective support, and once that breakdown, I would think that this would be at least a first touch resistance if it moves back up. Okay, below 81, 72 is sort of the monthly level to target below if it wants to go down. Okay, Apple, everyone's favorite, monthly view remains weak. No monthly green bar sees any upside follow through. We got these two in the past 6 months. Both saw rejections, and now we're actually kind of trading towards the 6-month low of the structure, right? Every time we traded here, we bounced, and now we closed below that. So that tells me the chart is weak, right? The next support is 123, 116. That's the area that it can go. Again, if you want to play swing long here, you want to try that, always look for strategically so that you have a defined stop loss, right, and a defined setup. So look for it to move down, and when it backs up, where the bar goes red to green, that's where you take your position, right? So that's why you see here, you see all these bottom wicks. That's what the end bar looks like, right? So that's what you are trying to capture. But definitely this area 107, 110, that's where I would look for a good, nice bounce. Again, this is a monthly view, not that we're going there tomorrow or this week, but something to keep in mind if you are looking to add for long term, right? That's a good area for it to do that. Short term view remains weak, right? I would say anything below 134, 133 is weak price action. If you go into like a 4-hourly view, right? This is what it looks like. This was sort of the breakdown area, 131 here in the shorter time frame. So anything above that, we can target the higher end where the swing high is, which is 133, 134. And then definitely we can kind of try to attempt to short there, right? But if not, then look for this sort of level, 136, 137 as your, if I bring the levels here, I think that's where it looks like. If you go to like a 30-minute view, yeah, I mean, it closed nicely on Friday, but I don't really give it that much importance, right? But again, you can play a level above 130.4, 131.4, above that 133.5, definitely short here, because this could end up looking like, if it plays out like that, something like that, and this being a neckline. All right, Tesla, everybody wants to know about that. Let's take a look at the monthly view of Tesla. Pretty bad. So we've been short on this name for God knows when, how long, and it has paid really nice, right? I think the last short swing that I am in, actually I did come out below 135. It was around from 172 level. So anyways, again, technically speaking, lower highs, lower lows. So unless or until that changes, from swing trade perspective, it remains weak. Don't try to catch the bottom. The momentum and the sentiment is weak for this name. Yes, you can get initial intraday bounces. You can try with quick calls, stuff like that, scalps, but nothing to hold for long unless you have a defined stop loss and a plan to see how it trades. But so let's talk about from the green box perspective, right? I think I did mention that 135, if you want to try an attempt along there, don't go all in, right? Because the sentiment was weak and it did look like that it was not going to hold. So 135 green box did not hold. Next was 124 and then 111, right? So if you were adding smartly, maybe 1/3 here, 1/3 here, because these were the three closest or the nearest green boxes. So that means you're still maybe negative, right? Depending on where you bought or where you started accumulating, on how your position sizing into it. But a decent bounce from 111 area, like so 125. Now we have 2 touch points here. It really needs to get above that, and then we can see it move towards maybe 139, 140. But if it gets rejected hard, then gap fill. Let's take a look at 30-minute view. Yeah, so look at this one. So below let's say 119, we can look for a gap fill towards 112, right? See how it trades that. But to try any move to the upside, if I bring the levels here, the real ones, right, the ones that we trade off of, this 124 to 125 is the area that it needs to get above, and then we can really nicely move towards 129 to 131, right? Below 120, 117, and then a gap fill towards 112 are in play. Okay, yeah, so not bad, but again, the sentiment for this name has been weak. You can still get a technical bounce, so I would say trade on a day-to-day basis until or unless you see some nice weekly bar closing in a green and just giving you some good feeling that it can bounce, right? But yeah, I mean, this past week, this green bar was nice, just like this one, right? So we might see a little bit of move towards 140 if it's considered an oversold bounce, or 135 at least, because that was the value area that it kind of started breaking down from. So definitely you can try to look towards that. Netflix, again, relatively better name, right? It did not really break down compared to other names recently, and we still have this domination of green trend bars, right? And then any red trend bar that we get, we don't see any downside follow through, right? So this one, boom, back up. These couple of non-trend red weeks, but boom. Now this one is the latest red trend week, right? Red trend bar, but it has been met by buyers stepping in and not letting the price fall. So now over and above 301, we can start to see it move back up. Under 301, I would say it remains under pressure. And if you do get long, treat 273 as your stop loss, right? Because that's the recent low where it's kind of bounced from. Looking at a daily view, so let's actually look at the 30-minute view. So yeah, I mean, it's just sort of this trend line has to be taken out, then 301 becomes your initial target. If it gets above that, I think we can rally and try to fill the gap here towards 316 or the back test of this trend line, right? Anything below 286, it's weak, and then you just have to kind of evaluate it from that perspective. Below 286, this level. Okay. NVDA. Let's get a look at the monthly view. I mean, monthly view, yes, it's fine, but nothing too exciting. I would say it is bearish. I would say it is getting rejected because typically this was a breakout bar, right? It was a bearish breakout below this support, right? And then typically what I've seen is once the price starts trading below the breakout bar, right, it always tries to come back and retest the low of the breakout bars, which it did here a couple of times, and this last month as well, right? So we still have a rejection there on a monthly level. On a weekly level, technically speaking, again, lower lows, lower highs. So until or unless that gets changed, maybe in a daily time frame, the pressure remains to the downside, right? This was the breakout bar. So we did test that low of the breakout bar. The high becomes 151. To really play on the long for the bullish side, we really need to get above 151, and then we can target higher prices towards 161 to 166. Okay, we got these two sort of choppy sideways days, right? So really with not much range, maybe $4 or $5 worth of range. So anything below that, watch out. 137, that's a recent low. If it gets taken out, then definitely 130 to 120 are the recent I would say structure supports that we can target on the downside. To play at the long side, 151 needs to be taken out. Okay. Microsoft. Let's take a look at the weekly chart of Microsoft. Again, nothing too exciting in this name. A whole bunch of sideways action, top wicks, bottom wicks, no clear direction. So maybe just avoid this name for a while until or unless it can get above 246. Because that's where it's tried to rally, right? But it couldn't do it, and we have a top wick. So, and then in the following week, we kind of broke down. So this 245.6, 246 plus needs to be taken out for any upside move. Until or unless that happens, the chart remains weak. And then if this breaks 233.8, which is the recent structure low, we do have a gap fill move towards 225 that we can try to target. Right now, from structure perspective, price action perspective, just weak, right? And not really good setups unless, again, it moves above 245.6 and then gives a close above that. We can try to target this downtrend line, right? Anything below 242 and 245, you are sort of neutral to weak. And then if it breaks this support, we have gap fill right here towards 225 to 221. Okay. Let's take a look at Google. Weekly view. Again, pretty weak chart, right? Oops, sorry. sorry, my bad. So weekly view, this is where the support was. That now has been effectively acting as a good resistance level, right? Every time the chart trades on a higher time frame. So, that's where the downtrend line is as well. But we do get this sort of a diminishing downside move where the intensity of the move is kind of slowing down. So we might get a move a little bit up above from 91 level, right? If we go into daily view, right? That's where all the cluster zone is, right? We had clear downside move from here, right? Really good heavy move to the downside. And since then, if you had shorted here, you'd be stuck because it's just been kind of sideways in a $2 range with choppiness up and down, no clear direction. So I think something like this can be in play where you can try to target above 89 towards 91 and then see if it closes above that, moves down, back up, something like that. If it breaks down below 86, 87, then we have a structure kind of violation of the structure low, and then 83, which is a recent low from November time frame, becomes your initial target to the downside. Okay, and lastly, I would like to take a look at this NQ chart, right? Again, weekly chart, slightly diminishing downside move, but remains under pressure. I mean, I would not try a long here. Just trying to be hero. Don't have to do that. Again, still price action perspective, lower lows, lower highs. 111,420 was a support for over a month, and it broke down. So that can effectively be a resistance on the move up. And if it moves up, it can definitely get rejected and kind of move to the downside because just the macro level conditions are not really ideal to play on the long side right now, until or unless of course things change. It gets above 420 and then it tries to get above this downtrend line as well, then definitely it means that it has legs and it wants to go back up. But until we see that, pressure remains to the downside. 720, 700, 10,700 becomes your initial support level to look for. If it breaks down, then definitely lower prices ahead. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching. You all have a good rest of your long weekend. Talk to you guys soon. If you have any questions, comments, things like that, please feel free to reach out. Okay, thank you guys. Take care.